All right, so welcome, and we just need maybe a block today, and we will start sitting in Sukhasana with the crossed legs. And using the arms alongside, lengthening up a little space between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets, maybe a little shifting. And then slowly release with the arms as you are ready. And we'll bring those hands onto the knees, pouring down the sides of the neck off the tops of the shoulders, along through the top of the head. Inhaling and exhaling. Drawing your attention more inside yourself, letting the rest of the day slip away. Just be here now. And then we will reach out wide through those collarbones, through the fingertips. Inhale and exhale, breathing the arms up. And inhale and exhale, breathing them down. Taking up lots of space, we'll do that twice more. And then let's come forward, pouring over. Inhale and exhale, breathing into the back of the body. And then we'll walk the hands out to the right diagonal, so I'll be the mirror for the movement. Really reaching long through the left side. Anchoring that left sitting bone down. And then left hand on the right knee, turning yourself inside out. Or maybe left arm on the floor if that seems to fit better for your body. And pouring out the front of the right shoulder, pressing the back of the right arm away. And then we'll reach that right arm over the ear, making a little side bending shape. And big swoop around with the right arm back to the center. And coming up, unfurling that spine vertebrae by vertebrae back up on top of the sitting bones. Inhale and exhale, arriving here for a moment. And then we'll change the cross of the legs. And coming forward and over, breathing into the back of the body. And then walking the hands over to the left diagonal. Reaching out long through that right side. The right sitting bone reaching down and back. And then right hand on the left knee, twisting open, pouring out the front of the left shoulder, pressing that left arm back, maybe readjusting that right arm as needed. And then reaching that left arm over the ear in a little side bending action. Keep pulling that left shoulder open. And a big reach around with that left arm, coming back to the center, forward and over. Coming up, unfurling the spine vertebrae by vertebrae. And we'll take a few ripples here, reaching forward, rounding up and back, or whichever direction you're rippling. Trying to get all parts of the spine moving. And then sending that breath pouring through the body. And then we will finish up with this rippling back up on top of the sitting bones with that long and spacious spine. Deep breath. And we will extend those legs straight out in front in Tadasana, using the arms alongside and behind as much as you need to stretch through the heels, open the backs of the knees along the floor. And then coming forward any amount, lengthening through the legs. So I'm really actively reaching through the heels, pulling those knees up with the thigh muscles. So I'm using the muscles to get those legs a little straighter. And then coming as far forward as your body wants to do at this moment. And coming up. And then we will make our way to downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Walking the dog or anything else you want to do once you get there. And then take a look at the hands, make sure that middle finger is pointing forward or a little to the side. You don't want it to just be the fingers, you want the whole palm of the hand to be angled so that that middle finger is coming straight through the center of the palm. And pressing out through the knuckles through the fingertips. Pull those outer shoulder blades in, and then pressing back to downward facing dog. Another breath or two here. And if you want, you can come forward and lower yourself to your stomach to get there. Or else we'll take a short child's pose, coming down, sitting back in this long pull, and then sliding forward into the Sphinx. And then we will all meet up in the Sphinx, elbows under the shoulders, reaching out through the hands, pulling the elbows back, press the hands into the floor, pull back with the hands, wide across the collarbones and upper back, reaching back through those legs. And then pressing a little more into the hands, and maybe the elbows lift off the floor, maybe not, doesn't matter. Just a little more press into the hands. Changes the subtle things going on in our body. If the elbows lift, letting them lift. And then we will roll ourselves back down and reach the hands behind to interlock the fingers. Give those shoulders a roll out. Take a few breaths, just breathing back through the arms, arms parallel to the floor, parallel to the ceiling. Squeeze those upper arms toward each other, squeeze the inner thighs toward each other, and lengthen to lift. Not worrying if you don't lift very high, just lengthen and lift, and breathe. Slowly release the hands, palms face the ceiling. Squeeze the upper arms toward each other, squeeze the thumbs toward each other. And then coming down. And we will heel ourselves back up to downward facing dog. And if you want to go smoothly through vinyasa here, go ahead. If you're coming along with me, we're doing kneeling vinyasa. And then we will look between the hands to jump or step forward. Into the concave, back halfway up. As much halfway up as you need, maybe a little bend in the knees. And then we'll pour back over. Taking a couple breaths here. And coming up to standing and into the front body yawn. Standing up, Salabhasana. Take a moment, draw the inner thighs toward each other, even if your feet are hip distance apart. The inner thighs come a little in and back, tailbone forward. Now we're squeezing the palms of the hands toward each other. And then a big wide press down. Deep breath. And let's take a circle with the shoulders and interlock the fingers, lengthening up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin, pouring over. And release the hands. And we're going to do the leading with the right leg to step back. So we'll step back with the right leg. So we're in the left lunge. Long through the top of the head, twisting to the left. Turn that left outer hip a little back and down. If you want a little more challenge, you can lift up a little, lighten on those right fingertips. Or maybe even possibly come to the namaste hands already. And then back to the floor. We're going to step forward again. Into the concave back,
folding over. And now our left leg will step back. Same thing to the right, twisting to the right, letting yourself arrive there. Nice strong left leg, pulling that right outer hip down and back. Maybe this is good here. Maybe just lightening up on the left fingertips or coming all the way to the namaste. Hands, left elbow on the right knee. And back to the floor. And stepping forward. Concave back halfway up. Folding over. And we'll step back once again with the right leg. And then bringing that right knee down. Coming up in Anjayasana, the kneeling lunge. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And bringing the arms down, we're going to side bend to the left. Bringing the right arm up and over. Pulling that right shoulder a little back. And a big reach down with the right arm, and we're going to step back to the plank. Long and flat against the ceiling, holding that plank, and 3, and 2, and 1. And then vinyasa or not, any version. And roll back in downward facing dog. And let's lift our right leg up, reaching long through the heel. Dog at the high fire, I've been bending the right knee. And through to the lunge. And we'll do our Anjayasana with the side bend, bringing the left knee down, coming up. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. Big reach down with the arms, and left arm up and over to the right. Pulling that left shoulder a little open, try not to side bend down and forward. And a big reach around, straighten up that left leg, turning to the elephant rider. Pressing the knees back, stretching out the inner thighs, a little scoop forward and under with the tailbone, maybe a little squinging in the hips. And then turning back to the right lunge, our front of the mat, stepping forward into the concave back, halfway up, folding over. And coming up to standing, big front body. And then a little standing Salabhasana. Pressing those arms down long through the top of the. So I'm just going to the other side. And then circle the shoulders, interlock the fingers. And another standing Salabhasana. Lengthening up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin. And coming over, pressing out through the hands. And release those hands. So same thing, leading with the left leg. So the left leg will step back to the long low lunge and twisting to the right. Maybe just there with the extended arms, maybe bringing the hands around to namaste. And come down, stepping forward, little concave back, folding over, stepping back with the right leg. And same thing, twisting to the left. Maybe there, maybe coming to those namaste hands. And hands down, stepping forward. Into the concave back, folding over. Stepping back with the left leg. And bringing the left knee down. Coming up in Jayasana, the kneeling lunge. And a big wide reach down, side bending to the right. And bringing that left arm down, and we will step back to the plank. And holding that plank. And 3. And 2. And 1. And then continuing through the vinyasa or not. And we'll all be in downward facing dog. And let's lift that left leg up, reaching long through the heel. Dog at the high fire height. And through to the lunge. And bringing the left knee down, right knee down, there we go. Coming up. Bringing those arms down, side bending to the left. And coming up, straightening up that right leg, and we'll turn to the elephant rider. So let's see. I will not be the mirror, but in this next part, but it's just going to be one side and then the other, so not to worry. All right, let's come around to the temple pose, pressing those feet into the floor, coming up into the three-pointed star. Lift a little more, a little stronger in that lower abdomen, and then pulling the knees wide, elbows wide, pressing those hands together, letting that press of the hands steady you into the center. We're going to do the yin and yang arms, bringing those arms out to the side. And we'll take the right arm, which is probably the arm toward the back of your mat, but like I said, it's not really going to matter. Right arm curves up and over, left arm curves down and under, pull wide, inner thigh to inner thigh, knee to knee. Reaching those arms out wide, other side, left arm up, right arm down, or other side. And see if you can feel that center that you're swirling around. Reaching wide, and then straighten the legs, tipping yourself into the forward bend, and pressing the heels out, wide leg parallel, Prasarita Padottanasana. And then we'll turn back to our left lunge, the front of the mat, and stepping forward into the concave, back halfway up, folding over, and coming up to standing, big front body yawn. Pressing those arms down long to the top of the head. Let's come all the way to Namaste. Deep breath, Samasthiti, reaching those feet into the floor, long through the top of the head. And then we will do the dancing Krishna. So in theory, we're standing at the front of our mat. If you want to step to a more congenial place for balancing, go ahead. So as before, I will not be the mirror, but just remember to do one side and then the other, and we'll be all set. All right, so here we are in Tadasana Samasthiti. And then we're going to take the right leg, rotate it out, ball of the foot on the floor, right heel touches the left ankle. And then if like me, I did a little drop down with my right hip and pulling that back up. So for stylizing in actual dancing, you might want to drop the hip. But we're doing yoga, so we're going for that level pelvis there. And then breathing the hands up the center line, reaching out wide and flat. We're going to bring the left arm up and over, right arm curves under. So we side bend toward our bent leg. We try to lean a little out into the left side, the straight leg. And if you can, rotating the head up to the left. And then a big reach out to the parallel arms again. Strong left leg. Let's try taking the right leg up into the tree pose. Or not. You can always stay here in the small tree. And then bringing that right leg down. Deep breath. Samasthiti. Let's do the left. Bending the left knee, rotate it out, ball of the left foot on the floor, left ankle on, or left heel on the right ankle. Just notice if you're doing this little sit and find that lift. Sometimes that's a good way to really feel the lift, is to let that left hip dip down for a moment and then draw back up on top of your right knee. Breathing up the center line with those arms. Pressing the arms wide, and then we'll side bend to the left, right arm up and over, towards your bent leg, toward the other direction. And maybe you can rotate the head and look up toward the right, towards your top arm. And coming up, reaching those arms wide. And we'll set that left foot down for a moment. Coming up in the tree pose, bringing the left leg back. And then we'll bring that left leg down. And here we are at the front of our mat in Tadasana. And let's swoop those arms up. Big front body yawn and diving over. Concave back halfway up, folding over. And then we'll jump or step back to downward facing dog vinyasa or not. And once more, we'll lower ourselves to the floor onto our stomach. So you can come forward, plank, and lower from the plank. Or you can do the come down into child's pose for a moment, pull back, and then expand forward into the Sphinx. And we'll all be in the Sphinx for a few breaths. Wide across the collarbones, reaching through the legs. Getting a little stretch in the front of the body. If you want to lift the elbows, go ahead. And then coming down, and we will Salabhasana down here on the floor. Bringing the arms behind interlocking the fingers. All right, reaching long, so we have our feet pointed, but do your best to feel maybe almost like you're standing on the wall behind you, lengthening up the front of the body. And as we lift the chest to lift the chin, we're also going to lift the legs. Slowly release the hands, thumbs face each other, palms to the ceiling. Maybe lift a little more or with a little less strain. And coming down. And we will peel ourselves back up to downward facing dog. You can throw in another vinyasa here if you like. And then let's lift that right leg up. Through to the lunge and warrior number 2, the lateral lunge. Turning that left heel down 90 degrees, coming up. Make sure everything arrives. Deepen a little into the lunge. A strong lift in the core. And then we'll dancing warrior. So we're not doing the total yin yang arms, but still get a little sense of that scooping under on the left side. So we're making a circle more than just the side bend on the right. And then we'll reach out into the side angle, Parsvakonasana. So it's not quite a side bend, it's more of a reach. And we'll go back and forth. Coming up to the dancing warrior. Big reach out into Parsvakonasana. And inhale and exhale. So you can be on your own timing here. And inhale and exhale. And that right hand can be coming to the floor. It can be coming to the knee. It can be switching as you go along. And of course, you can linger anywhere you would like. And let's do one more or so, maybe 2 if you're going faster than me. And then we'll linger in our Parsvakonasana a few breaths. Pulling that a little longer and lower. And this time we'll straighten our right leg as we come up into the side bend with a straight right leg. And then into the triangle Trikonasana, settling into stillness. So we're not wafting up and down here, But that breath is still wafting a little. And that body is still. Every breath renews your presence, so we don't want to just go into sort of a dull drone of staying here and holding here. As much life, as much attention as when we were wafting up and down. And then reaching that left arm over the ear for a moment, and it will pull you down to the wide leg forward bend. Turning the feet to parallel. And then soften the knees a little to walk the feet to the center, heel, toe, or however works for you. And we come to Tadasana in the horizontal center, or to Uttanasana, the forward bend, in the horizontal center of our mat. And coming up to standing. Big front body yawn. A little bit of Salabhasana in there. And then pressing those arms around to Namaste hands. Samasthiti steadiness. And let's dancing Krishna. So we'll do the right leg, the leg that was our front leg. Once again, if you want to step onto a steadier part of the floor, go ahead. And bending that right leg, rotating it out. If you're feeling very balanceful today, you could also actually do this dancing Krishna in the tree pose. All right, here we are, standing up on top of the left leg. Breathe the arms up the center, reaching them to the side and then up and over to the right. Curving that right arm under, left arm up and over. Trying to feel that swirling around the center. And then coming up. And let's make our way up to the tree pose. And bringing that right foot down. And if you're off your mat, coming back. And big front body on and diving over. And concave back, folding over, a little bend in the knees. Walking those feet back out to the wide leg forward bend. Taking a couple breaths here. And then we will turn back to our right lunge where we came from, the front of the mat, and stepping back to the plank, vinyasa or not, downward facing dog. And taking 3 deep breaths here in downward facing dog, or maybe in child's pose. And then we'll do that all around on the other side. Lifting that left leg and through to the lunge. Coming up in the warrior number 2 on the left. And making sure everything arrived here. Strong center. And then settling into your breath. And dancing warrior, coming up and over, but feeling a little of that forward and under there. And then reaching out to the side angle. Take a couple breaths, feeling where this is for you, feeling that subtle difference of the reach long rather than the side bend. And then coming back up to the dancing warrior. Inhale and exhale. Side angle reaching long. Inhale and exhale. So going at your own pace, keeping the breath going, taking 1 breath or 2 breaths, maybe even just half a breath if you're going fast. Inhaling and exhaling over. Holding on to the center. So spinning around that center, which is kind of at the belly button or maybe a little lower. Oh, I think we're headed for the 1 more. And we'll hold in that Parsvakonasana. And then we'll come up straightening the left leg, all the way up to the side bend, up and over with the straight leg. And into the triangle, Trikonasana. Now, instead of the movement of the body, our attention is a little bit more on the movement of the breath. And also maybe the subtle movement of the body. Check for any tension in the face or jaw you can let go of, or maybe send that tension pouring back into the hips, into the legs, turning it into strength and support. And reaching that right arm over the ear, pull and pulling down and around to the wide leg forward bend. Prasarita Padottanasana. And then we will soften the knees a little to walk the feet into the center, into the forward bend, right in the horizontal center of your mat. Coming up to standing, big front body yawn. A little bit of Savasana, a little more strength, a little more back bendiness. A little different awareness as we press those arms down all the way around to Namaste, Samasti. And then dancing Krishna on the left. And bending the left leg, rotate that out, heel to the right ankle. Long through the top of the head. Breathing the hands up the center line. And out wide to the side, and then up and over to the left. Swirling around the center. And up, and then coming up into the tree pose. And we'll bring that left leg down. Here we are in the horizontal center of the mat. Big front body yawn. And diving over. A little concave back, folding over a little more. And then walking or heel toeing those feet back out to the wide leg forward bend. And then we'll turn to the left lunge toward the front of the mat. And stepping back to the plank. Vinyasa or not downward facing dog. And then we'll be going to child's pose. You can get there sooner rather than later. Linger in the upward facing dog. And in the next 2 or 3 breaths, we'll all be in child's pose. And if you're not there already, making your way to child's pose. And then let's come up onto our knees hip distance apart in short Tadasana. Circle the shoulders to interlock the fingers. So really make sure that your tailbone and your butt aren't going back here. It takes a little bit more attention usually. A little bit more effort to keep that lower back long and tailbone down when we're on our knees. Because we have to engage a little more with stretching and lengthening the front of the thighs and hips because our legs are right angle and not straight. So we need a little bit more effort and not tuck or not sitting back. All right, here we are.
And feeling like you're on the wall in front of you on your stomach as you squeeze the arms toward each other, press the hands toward the floor, thinking parallel to the ceiling if we were on our stomach. Feeling that length and then lengthen to lift. And noticing just you might feel some different things by imagining you're on your stomach on the opposite wall and doing a salabhasana with bent legs here. And then you can shift to where we really are in the ustrasana, put the hands there on the hips. So we can also come back up and kind of regroup. It can be 2 shorter ustrasanas or 1 longer. Maybe you're going to go for the heels. One or 2 more breaths here. And we'll come up, contracting into those abdominal muscles to come back down to child's pose. Maybe a few cats and cows there on the way. And coming up. And let's come to Sukhasana again. Or maybe if the Sukhasana is feeling good, you want to do the box pose, bringing one leg up on top of the other. So we're thinking of shins parallel to the front of the mat. They can always take that bottom foot and draw it back a little bit. So don't force the box pose if it's not there. All right, so here we are somewhere in sort of a double figure 4. Long through the top of the head and then coming forward. Inhale and exhale, pulling up out of the lower waist, breathing across the lower back and the outer hips. And then coming up, unfurling that spine. And we will switch the cross of the legs. Especially if you're doing the box pose, you might notice the 2 sides are different. I think we know what I mean, but what I mean by adjusting the bottom foot or leg, if you pull that bottom shin back, you can see it a little here at that angle. That should make it a little bit more accessible. All right, but don't endanger your knees. And taking a few moments, finding that long and spacious spine. And easing your way forward. Nice big inhales and exhales, taking you over. And then coming up, unfurling that spine, back up on top of the sitting bones. And we'll disentangle the legs and make our way down to the floor into Shavasana. Inhale and exhale, letting go of all efforts. Every breath sinking you in just a little deeper. And if you have a little bit more time, staying a little longer, because while I do believe that with our focus and our breath, we can expand time, we can reach a place of deeper relaxation. We can let our body settle itself a little more efficiently in less time. But still, sometimes it just takes time for that physical body to do certain processes. And if you need to move on with the rest of your day, just stretching those arms up overhead. Maybe a little circling of the wrists and ankles. Bending the knees and gently making your way up to sitting. And sitting in any comfortable position with that long and spacious spine. Taking a few more moments sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming. Just a moment there.